So welcome, my name is Amanda. Tonight we are doing Learning Mango Languages, and that is a database that we have here at the library that you get access to with your library card. So I am going to first kind of go through it a little bit quickly um, in the PowerPoint here, and then once we get through that, then I will show it to you live. It's just a nice way for you to kind of have different learning styles for every person here. So the first thing that you want to do is find our website. So you would go to midlibrary.org. So this is what our homepage looks like. And you would click on resources, then online databases. And then you would have a nice list of databases and you would choose Mango Languages. In between there, so this is what pops up right away if you're in the library using a computer or a Wi-Fi. If you're at home, it is going to pause and it's going to ask you to put in your library card number. So you would do the full barcode number that is, or number that's underneath your barcode on your card, and you don't include spaces, so just one big old number. And then it shouldn't, I can't remember because I haven't seen, it's hard because I always, make up these classes while I'm in the library, so I don't get to see that in between page all the time. I can't remember if you have to put in your PIN number or not. But if you do, it's the same PIN number that you would use to get into your LinkCat account. But then it should open up to this page afterwards, and it's asking you to either log in, create an account, or use Mango as a guest. So it's easiest, I think, since this is a language application database for you to learn languages, is to make an account with Mango Languages so it can keep track of your progress. You don't have to use it this way, but I would recommend it. It's a free account. You're going to put in your email address or a username that you want to use, and then password. I find it easiest to just use an email as your username. And then you go through that process of filling out that information. Once it logs you in, it's going to start the first time you log in. You're going to have a little tutorial just on how things work. And as you can see, some of the screenshots I have in this presentation here too, some of them look like they're on a tablet and some of them look like they're on a desktop computer. So they look very similar for whatever device you're on. So I just have a combination so you can see what it looks like. But it tells you, you're going to learn how to talk in conversation using culture and grammar notes. Then there's a section about practice, pronunciation, and speaking. Then there is a part where you're going to be recognizing patterns and revealing the relationship between languages. Then there's also a part that you can use, which is a compare your voice. So it's going to let you record your voice, and then it's going to compare it to the native speaker and kind of give you a grade. This part you can turn off in Mango Languages if you don't have a microphone available to you. So that's a great part of this, is that you're not required to use that because not everyone has that extra piece of equipment. So there are a lot of languages in Mango Languages. When it first opens up, it is going to be on this page after that kind of introduction tutorial. And it has either the popular languages recently that have the most use, and then also your search bar up at the top. So you can search for the language that you want. So in this, I clicked on French, And because I had recently been using it, it tells me how many lessons I completed, and I can hit the resume button, or I can delete it if I don't want my progress saved anymore. But I can click on Start Learning or Resume, whichever button appears, and it should go to my lessons page. So within each language, you have a Learn, Explore, and Tools sections up at the top. And you are shown in each chapter all of the lessons. So here there's 5 chapters for French. And then within each chapter, I have here, it looks like 10 lessons. And there's, after each section, you'll have like a little quiz. And then there's also separate listening and reading sections you can do, and a recap. And every once in a while, they throw in those quizzes just to help you. When you finish a lesson, it does ask you if you want to continue on or if you want to redo the lesson. So if you feel like you didn't quite get it, you could always go back and do it. Make sure we don't have anyone else that has jumped in. It looks like we don't. All right, keep going here. Along with those lessons on that previous page, it shows you that you can actually skip a lesson too. So you can jump around, you don't have to go in order. When you click into a lesson, if you're always going to have an introduction page that's going to explain to you what the goal is and what you're going to be working on. So here they're showing conversational goals and grammar goals. And then you would just click your start button and be on your way. When you're in the lessons, you do have a few buttons and things to navigate. So up in the corner, you have a keyboard guide for shortcuts. And then also up there, you have the little settings wheel that is on that right side there, where you can adjust the volume of the speaker who's teaching the lesson. You can also turn the narration off or on. If you need closed captions, you can turn those on and off. And if the quiz timer gives you anxiety, you can always turn that off. I know sometimes timers just aren't good for some people to have that countdown. So try it with it, try it without it. That's for different times where it's asking you to guess what words would be like the translation of things. We'll see that in a second when we go live here. Often there is going to be a conversation that it starts with that has all of the different words and phrases that you're going to be studying in that chapter or lesson. So here's an example of the French one in chapter 1, lesson 1. And so they have it both in French on the top and in English. And then you also have buttons for playing that over if you want to. So that little volume symbol there, you would just click that if you want to hear it again for each section. There also, on the right side of our screen here, is where they have cultural notes that kind of pop in every now and then. And those are to help explain the language better. So here, with French, they're talking about tiens, which they're telling you is a colloquial way to express a slight surprise, kind of like, ah, or something like that, like a introduction that you would have. So then they explain the phrase in French here and then in English, and how the direct translation doesn't always hold. Because tiens, like I said, is from the word tenir, which is to hold, but you're not really holding anything. But those cultural notes can be really important in understanding those different phrases. You also have an explore section up at the top. So the first one, learn, is where your lessons are. And explore is where you have right now, they only have Mango movies and they don't have a whole lot in there. There's usually only 1 or 2 movies per language. I think the Spanish one might have a few more. We'd have to go in and look. Those do sometimes change. I'm hoping that in the future they're going to have a bit more in here other than just movies, but the films can be really helpful in learning a language, and you can choose to have subtitles on or not. And then you also can choose if you want to watch it and also have like comprehension questions that will break up the movie and ask you questions too. So there's a few different ways that you can watch the movies. In the tools section, this is where you have your translator. So this is just Google Translate that has been, inserted into the database here. Keep in mind that translators may not always be correct or use like a colloquial vernacular. Like it's not always good. It sometimes might be too formal in conversation. Sometimes I definitely ran across this in French class in college, where if we needed help with something, we'd run to the translators on the internet, and Google Translate would be one of them. And we'd try to find phrases to put in our papers, and then our professor would obviously know that that wasn't what we were learning in class, because he was trying to give us stuff that to use in conversation, not stuff that would be formally written like in a newspaper. So it was easy to notice that. So just take it with a grain of salt. Translators can be really, really helpful, especially if you're in a country where you just don't really know a lot of the language, and it can get the information across in a certain way to help you out. But if you're trying to use this to help build skills in conversation, it's helpful, but like I said, it can be hit or miss sometimes. But if you've never used a translator before, you would type in your text on the left side here. And you can change whether the beginning language is English or not. So if you needed to translate French to English, you'd actually put the French in the left side and change this box here to French, and then change this one to English. But they're starting here with English to French. So you would put your English here, say I want French, and then hit the translate button. And they do have a reverse button here if you needed to reverse it in the moment as well. So there is also a help section of Mango languages. I've never had any issues so far, but they always have this. Most of the time it's for feedback. So if you have anything that you want to see them try to add to this, there is that as well. And I am going to, because let's see, just to make sure, I'm gonna stop share and reshare just to make sure we got this set. Sometimes when I don't stop the share, it doesn't like to follow me. Okay, so we start on our website. And up at the top, we do have this a little bigger. Our resources tab and online databases. And here's our list of databases. Ignore the stuff in red here. This is just because I can see the staff side of here of the stuff we used to have, but we no longer have. When you click on Mango, like I said, if you're at home, it is going to go to the in-between page that's going to ask you to sign in with your library card.
I can't find Mango listed.
It should be towards the bottom.
I'm on my iPad, and my iPad only goes down to like Learning Express Library, and then it won't go any further than that.
Do you have like any of the others further
Yes, I
down?
have. Yeah, it starts with Ancestry, and on
Okay.
the other side, it's Overdrive,
You-
PBS.
Did you get to our website through a previous link, like that got saved in your cache previously? Like, did you type in midlibrary.org and it had it in a search like result before you got there? Sometimes if I use a link that I've previously used, it's actually like a backdated version. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
But if I just put
Try,
in the login spot, the mid library, it should log in.
try to go up to your address bar and just type in midlibrary.org and don't select any of the guessing searches underneath,
Okay.
and just try to get to it fresh with typing out the address and then click on the tabs and see if it pops up. It's like I said, if you use, when it's guessing things below the address bar and you click on those, they are sometimes time stamped from a previous time, and it's actually like going.
No, still, I've typed it in fresh and it won't let me past.
That's very odd.
I don't see any of the red either.
Okay.
Stuff highlighted in red.
Yeah, you shouldn't see the red stuff. That's because I'm here at the library and I'm
Oh, I see. Okay, it's your page, right?
on the staff side of it. Is anyone else trying to get in right now and can't find it as well? I would be curious.
I'm trying on my tab, but I just brought it up, and so it's having a hard time loading. Yeah, so it's having a hard time kind of loading that page for some reason where it says the online databases.
Okay,
It's having a hard time getting to that for some reason. Is the server down at the library?
not that I know of. Hopefully not.
Yeah, I was able to get that page. I have it up, but it won't show the whole page. It won't scroll down.
Okay,
Fine.
I just tried on my phone and I was able to get to that page and it showed me Mango. And now it has my in-between page. So I'm not certain right now why you cannot see it.
Yeah, my tablet's doing a weird thing, like it's coming in and out. It's like very unstable for some reason. It won't settle. I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay, well, I think I'm gonna continue on to show it to you since I do have it here in front of me. I will check on some things towards the end of our class here to see if there's any issues with things, or I'm gonna have to send a message to our IT guy. Apologies that it's not working for you right now. Not certain on why that's happening at all. Okay, so once you are in, you're gonna have this page. And because we went through the library page, it should say Middleton Public Library here up at the top. And let's see here. Gonna hope this, okay. Say I'm hoping that's the password. Apparently I haven't saved it. Let's go ahead and save it. Okay, so this opened up to where I was just previously working. So what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna go back to, this is what opens up. You have languages that I might have touched recently. I have my search bar up at the top. And then as I scroll down, there is popular languages. And then as you continue, it has all languages. So there is a lot. You know, you have Yiddish, Urdu, Ukrainian, Thai, Swahili. You have both Latin American Spanish and Castilian Spanish. Different Shanghainese, but then there's also Mandarin, Punjabi, and it lets you know that it's Pakistani version. Same with Portuguese. This is a Brazilian version that's going to have Brazilian slang versus people who are in Portugal. So there's a lot of widely used languages, and there's a lot of smaller ones as well. There's even some silly ones like pirate. So there's really a wide array of things that is a reason why I really like Mango languages. And you also have even like Hebrew modern and Hebrew biblical. So, you know, there's a big difference between those sometimes. But I often will start in this French one because I speak French. So it's easy for me to get through the lessons, to be able to show all of this stuff. So I have finished up through lesson 6, and I had, I think, just started lesson 7. And you can, like I said, you can click around, so you don't have to stay in those lessons. You know, there's certain number, not every chapter is going to have the same number of lessons. But you have, see, like I've gone through and done some in other ones. And there's also specialty units sometimes. This is not in every language, but for French, they have one on romance, on wine and cheeses, and argot, or going to a party. So, and they also have these placement tests that can help you figure out maybe where you need to start if you had previously done some work in the language, just kind of to help you out if you didn't want to do kind of a review. So let's open up, let's go back to this one. I can show you an example. Hopefully won't be too loud here. I'll turn down my volume. So like I said, it always opens up to your intro. It tells you what our conversational goals are, what our grammar goals are.
One important feature of French is grammatical gender. In French, all nouns are either masculine or feminine. Additionally, some other parts of speech must change to agree with the noun's gender.
Okay, we're gonna turn her down because she's loud. So first they're starting on a grammar note. And yes, they're talking about the differences of feminine and masculine, which is like the whole thing in French. And it's like that in a lot of Romance languages as well. So Italian and Spanish and such. So you can have them replay it. There's a back button or an X button. And what I was kind of trying to show earlier is that here is our little button for keyboard guides. So if you just want to use quick buttons on your keyboard to navigate, you can use those. Or you can do it in the settings. So like I turn the volume all the way down. Oh, they also have, this is a new one, interactive quiz slides. So you can turn those quizzes on and off. But you just hit next when you're ready to go. I'll turn her back up so we can.
France is beautiful in summer. Try this one.
La France est belle en été.
Which means France is beautiful in summer.
Okay, so they started with the French, then the English. And if you notice, as you kind of hover over, not the, sometimes the English part, but in this one, it's going to be the French one. It's gonna give you the phonetic pronunciation to help
And
you
you can
out.
hear it too, looks like.
Yeah, you can
La
la
France.
France. Yeah, so like you can keep going. You can use the voice comparison button down here, which is going to do the recording, like I said. You can turn that off and not have that available if you don't have a microphone. And then you can hear it all together, or you could replay the whole thing.
Nice.
So what they show when you hover over it kind of changes wherever you are.
Let's learn how to say to be.
Être.
So here they're still doing the phonetic over top of it.
Here's how you would say she.
Elle.
Try to say she.
So here it has a timer. This is the countdown thing that I was talking about that you can turn off. If you figure it out before, you could say, show the answer and see if you're right. It's not going to give you points here. However, once you get to the quiz, it is going to ask you, did you get it right or not? So it's hoping that you're going to tell the truth. But it's just nice because you can go at your own pace is really the great thing about it. You know, it's not unlike like the Rosetta Stone stuff that people would use in the past with the audio CDs, or the CDs that you'd put in to your computer and kind of go through. But so this is just all web-based, access to it at home. It's really for just a light conversational use, especially if you're going to go visit another country or if you need to brush up on something for work. The Spanish section is really helpful for that as well, since there's a lot of Spanish speakers in the United States. It's going to give you enough to be able to do simple conversations. If you need something that's a little bit more deeper than that, then I would probably point you to other resources, including like stuff we have in the library, but also elsewhere. But this is a good starting place. So that's why
Let's
I
learn
feel
how
like
to
it's
say
really
is.
useful for us in the library.
Let's hear you say is.
Et.
I want to
Try
try and
to
get to a
say
different.
Elle.
Let's hear you say
Et.
what is the proper way to say she is.
Elle est.
Do you remember how to say nice?
Vous.
So there are.
All
Here we go.
adjectives
So
in
here's
French
another
have a
one.
masculine form and a feminine form. For many feminine forms, we added based on what you already know. How would you say?
Elle est belle.
Now let's learn. Countries in French are always preceded. Now, how do you say? Try to say she.
Elle.
Okay. I'm gonna get out of this because I'm not finding the thing that I want. Let's see. What's in the reading one? So this is what the reading one looks like. So it says, it kind of gives you some stuff like there's 30 words here. There's 23 of them that are unique, but 2 of them are new from, you know, something outside of this chapter. So as you hover over it, you get the phonetic pronunciation. The new words, they're giving you the definition. And then they have questions for you to answer. And it looks like too, they also have little information to try and help you out. So let's see here. What is happening in this passage? So according to what we learned earlier, it's cold this Sunday morning. It's snowed a lot. It's always cold in the month of December. Can't wait for spring. France is beautiful in the month of May. They're talking about weather. And these are all,
It's a lot like Duolingo.
yes, it is a lot like Duolingo. There are a few things that are a little different. Duolingo, I think, does more at giving you points and things like that, and more grading you than what this does. But I think this can be good sometimes too for those that don't want to be judged by a computer. But so this is the reading section. Say exit. And then the listening is obviously going to be kind of similar to what we were already doing. So let's look at the explore section. So it looks like they've changed the movies in the French section. Now there's just this one from the last time I took my screenshot. So it's around a small mountain. Now, yeah, it's a more recent one than the ones that they had before.
Are they short movies or long?
This one is an hour and 24 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So they're just regular movies that are out there that you can watch elsewhere, but they're gonna give you, the option of having, the English being played, or say you want the French down at the bottom so you can see the words individually as they're saying them. And I think, let's see, if I hit play, can't remember if they go into, yep, so you choose, there's movie mode, so you're just watching it with no interruptions, but you can also obviously still choose subtitles, which is the next stuff, or you do engage mode. So it divides the movie into sections, and it asks you questions about the dialogue and grammar and culture and things that you're watching. So you can do either or you could do both. But that after you choose which one, then you choose what kind of subtitles you want. And then the movie starts after that. The other one at the top here is tools. So let's see. Let's just do happy birthday. So this is something simple for it to do. So I know that it's correct because I'm not putting in too much. Happy birthday, joyeux anniversaire. Or if you know French, you could also say bon anniversaire, because bon means good birthday, joyeux is joyous or joyful. So either or those phrases could work. But I give it something simple. However, if I start giving it a lot of complicated things like a long run-on sentence, it might start throwing in things that aren't correct. So good use, but like I said, just be careful. I always bit my butt when I was in college in French class. All right. So there's the support section that has your help. That's up in the right corner. We also have some notifications. There's really not going to be a whole lot that pops up here, but it's asking me to confirm my email address. So I should have an email. And then we have your profile. You can change the original language of what's going on. So right now, I'm in English learning another language. So if you need to change that, you can. If you need to take off your card for some reason, if you change libraries because you moved and that library also has Mango languages, you can take that one off and put on your new one. And then the other thing that is a newer feature of Mango is that there are family profiles. So you can have under your card, you can have, a profile for you, your husband, your kids, and then be able to do different ones. And so it doesn't have to keep track of all of your kids' stuff on yours. So that's nice too.
So I have a question about accessing it, because I see like on my phone. I was able to get in on my phone, just like you did there with the Middleton Library, but are we eventually, because we're doing it on our iPads probably, or something else besides a phone, do you download the app or do you always go through? I don't get it exactly.
So the way that you want to start is you want to start through our page so that you are linking the library with your card all together. And so
Okay.
you're making that account with your email or username and the password. After that, you can download the app to your other devices. And then you would just only have to sign in with that information that you created for the profile. So then you no longer have to have your library card with you. You just put in your email and password, and then it can be signed in all the time on your device. So
Okay.
just
So kind of like Libby.
yeah, it's kind of like Libby. Like I said, I recommend starting on a web browser to make the account, and then after that, if it's on a device, you can use the app that way too.
So
So
Amanda, can I,
if I just logged in on my phone, am I in now, or do you think?
Does it have your name?
Well,
And
it started doing the lessons.
it should, as long as, yeah, you logged in with the
I did, like you
profile.
said, I did my
Yeah.
email, I did my card, I did a password.
Yep, then you're logged in.
Okay.
so Amanda, can I
Obviously-
ask a question? Sorry,
Yeah.
when you're done, can I ask a question?
I was just gonna say, it's obviously gonna look a little different on your tablet device. Just because I'm showing people how to set up stuff, I usually start with this web browser version. So it will look a little different, I'm sure. What's your question?
So each of my two kids have their own library card. So would you recommend me going to the web version and setting them up versus using this family profile? Because they have their own unique library card. What's your recommendation there?
I mean, it's either or. It's really what you're comfortable with. This isn't something that's like Libby or Hoopla where you might be monitoring your child's content that they're taking in. This is just learning languages. So I would say that it's probably fine if you just use their library card and make their account, especially if they have their own email address. Like
Yes.
everything can be straightforward. Obviously that would be a little different with maybe Libby or Hoopla. Like I said, there's not really anything. The only thing is depending on what the ratings are for the movies in the explore section, that would be the only thing that you'd maybe need to take a look at. But most of those I think are not gonna be like rated R movies. So, but if you did do the add new profile, you do have a content setting. So that would probably, I haven't done that before, so I don't know. I'm assuming that must change the movies. If you do that. But that's how you go in, you put their name, their username, make a password, and it would be under the same card. It's really very similar. So I guess that's up to you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Other than, let's see here, it's have family profile, so you have activity, so you can see what you worked on when and for how long. Obviously, I've just been playing with this for showing the class, so I haven't done any real hard work on this, but I also feel like I probably would know everything in all the lessons since I have a degree in French. So I probably have gone beyond what these are giving you. But so that's as far as I've gotten that it shows me. And I can download this as a file if you're doing this for showing, an employer that you are taking some conversational, Spanish or something, and they want proof, you know, you can download this. It's not necessarily going to be any kind of certificate like you would get from a college course for something like that, but it's something. Let's see. I think that's all of our spots here. We can go into another language if you wanted to look. Some of the other ones are interesting. Like if you go, played in Japanese before.
Oh, yeah.
The ones with the characters are interesting. So let's see here. Let's go to learn.
This course will adopt the conventional Romaji method to transcribe Japanese words and sentences. The 5 vowels are spelled like this.
A, I,
All right, I'm gonna turn that down for a second. When you go over the characters, it's giving you again the phonetic pronunciation, which I think this is probably the most helpful way to learn a language that has characters like this. I know it's really hard when you go to even just introduction courses. If you've never spoken those languages before, trying to get the difference between the vowels. My husband at one point tried to take a Korean class in college, and he had to drop the class because he had such a hard time. He couldn't actually figure out the differences between these vowels that are in the Korean language. So sometimes there's such a slight difference between you know, the sounds sometimes. They're such hard languages. I don't think I could ever do it. But you know, they have good afternoon. That's what it looks like when it's written out. And then konnichiwa. I mean, I know that.
Oh, konnichiwa.
So it's a completely different way of looking at learning a language when you're starting to do some of the different ones there. And it doesn't look like there are movies for this section, which I'm surprised. There's just learning tools for Japanese. Let's go back. There's some other ones. The Greek one. That was kind of fun. So again, you've got the Cyrillic alphabet. And also, some of the languages have this button at the top. I forgot to mention that. You can have it as like understood or a literal translation. Yeah, and then they have the culture notes, like this word is used after 1 o'clock. I'm interested, how does that sound?
Kalispera. Kalispera.
Kalispera. Interesting.
This is how you say, "Good afternoon."
Kalispera.
So it seems, what was good morning? I want to go back.
What's the way to say,
Kalimera.
Calimera.
Nice. Very similar. It's super fun. I don't know. I also like languages. So this is I can get lost in this forever. Like a rabbit hole you go down when you're looking
Yes.
at stuff on Wikipedia online. That's exactly what I can do in
Yeah.
here. But yeah, so this is a great resource that we have. Again, if you need something in front of you, we do have language learning books here in the library. That is a collection that I do order for the library. So I have been trying to switch out to, we still have some of the audio CD books, but they're falling apart. Honestly, they don't last that long in terms of, you know, they get scratched up and stuff. But there are a lot of books out there now where it's a physical book that has stuff like a workbook that you can kind of go through, but then it also has like a link to their website, and then they have online learning that is very similar to Mango like this as well. And that link is included in the book, so you just check out the book and you kind of have both stuff in front of you on the screen and also the book. So I've been trying to get a lot of those resources as well.
Do you have like books to read? Because I'm trying to do Spanish, and I tried to find like books in Spanish at my level, and the only thing I could really find was like Green Eggs and Ham.
Have you looked at our Spanish collection here at the library upstairs?
No, I haven't been in
Okay.
to do that.
Okay, so we have a fairly large Spanish collection upstairs. It is on like the outer facing shelves of the children's section. So after you go past the new books, it's then the Spanish section, and that's both adults and children in that little spot. And so it kind of runs the gamut. There's fiction, nonfiction, kids, adults, teens, audiobooks. So it's all right there. And you know, I would think that there's going to be something that's a little bit more than Green Eggs and Ham, that would be more like a small chapter book in the children's section that would be maybe along the lines of what you're thinking, where it's maybe basic to intermediate.
Well, I'm definitely basic. I mean, I'm on the level of Green Eggs and Ham.
Well, there's definitely a lot there. So there'll be other ones like Green Eggs and Ham. And honestly, starting with kids' books is a really great way. That's definitely something I've done with French, just to even brush up on stuff, getting French kids' books and reading them. Because as you get further along, I get into a lot of vocabulary I don't know. So being able to understand it is the exciting part.
Yes, it is.
But there's a lot here, and there's a lot that we can order. Those collections at other libraries are starting to grow as well. It's definitely a high demand collection across Dane County and in our library system.
Right.
So definitely come in and visit.
Well, this has been great. I actually was able to, I downloaded the app and I got on.
Okay.
So I'm all set.
All right. Well, looks like it's me and you.
Yeah. Well,
Have a
thank
good
you so
night.
much.
You're welcome.